Hear from different voices. I don't want to just hear from people that agree with me. We're about to dive into some even deeper topics. Ask a Brother Podcast.
Ask a Brother Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James. You know, the revolution is going to be because of us. What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James. And listen, y'all, your boy is so excited about all the news that we are going to be announcing throughout this month alone. Stay tuned. But if you're starting to creep in, feel free to kind of share it with some folks. If you always enjoy these type of interviews, this is one of those people that I've always been a fan of his for the last few years. I was on his platform. I'm telling you, once we bring this brother on, you all are absolutely going to probably enjoy this conversation for sure. But what do I always do at the beginning? I try to give my shout outs to my subscribers, and I just checked. We cleared 38,600 subscribers in the last 1 year and 8 days since we lost this channel. So kudos to y'all. Yeah. Kudos to y'all for sure for doing that, because at the end of the day, we're trying to build this brand, build this channel, and turn it to something like incredible. And I have so many visions and goals of how I think this channel can go. And check that, 38,000 is no joke for your first year doing this. And with no big corporations backing us, it's been awesome to see all of you kind of, just supporting this, including the members for sure. I'm going to tell you right now, if you are not a member, I highly recommend that you become one very soon. Because when these announcements get going, people who are in certain membership tiers are going to get certain types of perks and opportunities. And that's all I can say for now. We actually had a team meeting today for the course of our year to plan out some big things, big news, big projects. And I want to announce one little one. We are going to start doing some potential road interviews pretty soon, both interviewing people on the road, in their work settings, learning about different careers, as well as on the flip side, being interviewed in additional other spaces, potentially out on some street walk interviews as well. So that is absolutely coming on Saturday. Your boy is going to be going to Atlantic City to watch a few different debates. The biggest one being the headliner with Pearl Davis herself, who's going to be debating Anna Kasparian. Atlantic City, if you haven't bought your ticket, see if you could still get there. We are definitely going to be in the building for sure. And I'm going to check that out and see how they kill it, and see, maybe I'm gonna learn to see, watch and observe, and see potentially if there's something that I might learn from their type of debate style. Who knows? Your boy may start to dabble in debating in the very near future for sure. Again, shout out to the subscribers, shout out to the members, as well as the men's group. Our men's group has been going on now for a few months. I'm telling you, fellas, if you're not meeting with men regularly, if you're not holding yourself accountable or having other men help you to walking in accountability, setting certain life goals or even goals for the year, I highly recommend you click on the links in our description. Periodically throughout this chat, we may even post those links for our men's group. If you do not work with men, if you're not building with men, this is an awesome opportunity. We're currently still working through the 12 rules of for life from Dr. Jordan Peterson. We're making our way through the book for sure. And it's definitely rocking us. It's definitely challenging us. And I appreciate you, Miss Plum. Shout out to Miss Plum, always holding us down. So guys, if you feel free, make sure you kind of check that out. We are going to be announcing something soon for the ladies as well. Stay tuned for that. Not today, but it definitely will be for sure. And last but not least, shout out to everybody that watched my interviews last week from Cooley, from No Fugazi, as well as Sabby Sabs. Both of them, I was learning and just interested in what they had to say, how they were thinking, and it was dope. It was really cool to see two people on different ends of the spectrum who I've observed since 2020 on. Kind of building their lane and their audience and their channel and asking for feedback and advice and really learning it. But listen, I'm going to get to the guest. I'm going to get to the rest of the show, but I'm not going to get past the fact that y'all know what your boy wearing right now. Y'all see what time it is. Y'all know what's going on. And guess what? Hold on. Let me do this.
Touchdown, 1, 2, 3. What we do? We hit a ball. Hit a ball. What? Watch the Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles fly. On the road to victory. Everybody. E-N-T-L-E-S, Eagles.
enough of that. Enough of that. I just had to make sure y'all know what time it is. It's Birds time. It's Philly time. It's Eagles time. So for sure, we gonna see if these Eagles can come through and pull off the upset, because we have the worst offensive coordinator in the league by far. So listen, y'all. Who booing me already? What's going on, y'all? So I'm telling you, you're gonna enjoy this episode. A brother that I really admire, who I love the way that he thinks. Oftentimes he posts and puts up thought-provoking topics and questions for sure. So before I introduce him, I am going to give us a second to shout out our sponsor for today's episode, which is Disabled Botanical Farms, for their healthy alternatives to assist you gentlemen in the bedroom, of course, with increasing your and improving your sexual performance, as well as improving your testosterone levels. So we're going to check out our sponsor ad. So if you're currently watching right now, please make sure that you like this video. Please make sure that you send it to 2, 3, or even 4 people. And if you're enjoying the content in general, or if you're enjoying the conversation tonight, feel free to either become a member or feel free to donate and hit the dollar sign and give $2-3 if you see fit. I'm just telling you, all those donations gonna matter. And pretty soon with some major things that's happening. And last but not least, I think I mentioned it in one of the other lives, your boy later this month is actually going to be going to Turkey to get the braces removed, get a little work done. No, I'm not getting veneers, so don't ask me that. I'm not getting veneers. I'm just getting some stuff done. My wisdom teeth actually got to come out, so that's really what's going on. And I just want to see Turkey. So I think it's gonna be dope. I think it's gonna be fun. And when the major announcements come later this month, a lot of things that I've been prepping and cooking and working with the team is going to start to make sense. So shout out to Cooley, shout out to Savvy Sabs, and everybody who's come on the platform, shown support, donated, reached out, shown love. I appreciate y'all genuinely, and I'm so excited about what this is going to be. But for our sponsor, let's watch the video, and then we're going to bring on today's guest. Stay tuned. Shout out again to Disabled Botanical Farms for their healthy alternatives. And for all of you that want to check out the link, Mrs. Plum has already posted the link in the chat. Feel free to click on the link and check it out. Ask a brother 10 for a 10% off your next purchase on the coupon section code for sure. Thank you, Mrs. Plum, for that. And hold on. Who's saying that the offensive coordinator can't be worse than my Raiders? I mean, you got to think about the fact that like where we were and how we were clicking and the contrast from year to year. I don't think Jalen Hurts has had a consistent offensive coordinator for like the last 5-6 years, man. So this has been brutal. This has been brutal. And no, I'm not coming back with plastic teeth. I'm not doing all that stuff. I do want to make sure I got some nice pearly whites and things is in order. I'm gonna get the grill right. And also, listen, we're gonna bring the cameras out there, because the reality is, as I'm doing that, as we're emphasizing different things that men need to look into, to work on, one of the things you got to take into account is your smile, your image, your presentation, and first impressions matter. So why not kind of go over that journey of what I'm trying, what I'm doing, and as I'm building myself and my brand, why not just turn the camera on even when I go to Turkey? So I think that'd be pretty dope for sure, that y'all to potentially want to see. Oh yeah. Welcome. People are starting to pull in. So real quick, y'all, again, if you just pulled in the last 5 minutes, make sure that you like this. Make sure you send it to 2 or 3 people, especially those of you people who you start to hang out with, you talk to, watching it with your wife, your husband, your kids. This is going to be one of those dope intellectual conversations that I always enjoy when I watch this brother's stuff. And I think it's going to be a good time. And yes, for those who are in the chat that's showing love to the Birds, regardless of how up and down the season has been, we know what time it is. We've been one of the more dominant teams in the last few years. We made it to the Super Bowl the last couple times. We're trying to make it back one more time. So I have a strange feeling, man, that perhaps for 4 games, our offensive coordinator could not be the worst man in the damn city and in the league. I gotta believe he gonna give us at least 3 to 4 games, or at least the players gonna hold their own. And yo, if y'all can y'all let your brothers know, Wallow and Gilly and them? Listen, I think it's time for them to kind of pull up and show some love for like a Philly product, man. So if y'all know anything and how to get in contact with Wallow or Gilly, if you can, feel free to reach out to them and let them know. I would love to connect with them and be able to talk to them soon and have them on. So without further ado, welcome everybody. I'm starting to see folks starting to trickle in. So again, make sure that you like, make sure that you share, make sure that you send it to a few people. And again, if you start to enjoy tonight's conversation, or you just want to support the channel in general, feel free to become a member or to click the dollar sign and donate $2 or $3 if you see fit, for sure. All right, y'all. So without further ado, because at the end of the day, whenever it's an interview night, you all ain't really here just for me. So I want to make sure I introduce this brother properly. He's a friend to the channel. We've already done one collab where I was on his channel, and we had I think we had like an hour and a half, 2 hour conversation. It kind of felt like that. And it was one of those conversations that I still remember. And it's nice to be able to have those moments when you can kind of put ego aside and just bounce ideas off each other and just go with the flow. And it's really dope to see men and men and grown men and black men at that, who's trying to be about their businesses, their brands, and building a particular life, being able to just turn the camera on and just allow them to just have free flowing thoughts. So, he is a host of an incredible, nearly 90,000 subscriber channel on YouTube. And it's just a thought provoking podcast. It's filled with think pieces. It's constantly having me just having to reevaluate a particular perspective maybe I've been holding on to either consciously or unconsciously. And man, beyond the fact that he invited me on and it was such a dope conversation, even the audience engagement and seeing the comments and the caliber of the people that I'm seeing watching his stuff, I was like, yeah, this is very similar to like my channel and a lot of the people who's watching and supporting my stuff as well. So good evening to everybody that's in the building, everybody that's trickling in. If you guys have been sending this and sharing this with people, I highly encourage that you continue to do so, because I really think that this is going to be another one of those really dope conversations where it can literally go anywhere. So listen, y'all, without further ado, please help me welcome to the stage Mr. Need to Talk himself, Allan. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Listen, man, I cannot complain. How you been?
I mean, I've been good, man. I've been focused. I'm excited about 2026. I've been working on a few things I'm excited to announce, but, not yet. So, yeah, I'm just excited, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here too, man.
Well, listen, I hope that I'm gonna be a part of them announcements at some point, because
Yeah,
the way you starting to post, I said he about to put something out crazy, and I'm like, yo, man, I love your art, and it's dope to see somebody when it's doing content creation that's thinking about the artistic component. I think that you figured that out, and that's something I hope to kind of like learn and kind of implement, or get like a videographer, somebody to really push some stuff that I want to try. And it's really dope to see somebody who takes their craft seriously.
I appreciate you, man. No, that means a lot, man. Especially, I mean, this in this year that you've been on here. It's a lot of work. it's a lot of work. It's more behind the scenes than people realize. So like, no, that means a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. So firstly, why don't you tell folks a little bit about your relationship with just getting into content creation, as well as what it was like breaking into the space to begin with?
Yeah. So it's kind of a long story. The Cliff Notes version is I started We Need to Talk in college. So it started off as an offshoot of NAACP. I was in charge of my collegiate branch of NAACP. So our discussion series was called We Need to Talk. Eventually, we kind of branched that out into its own organization, because the goal at that time was to unify the school. There was a lot of chatter about racism. There's a lot of chatter about the gender war, intergender dynamic. So we wanted to kind of create an opportunity for people to hash those things out, to maybe learn a different perspective, to express their own thoughts. Fast forward, I graduate. It grew to about 5 different campuses across the Southeast. But it was really hard to manage, right? I didn't have the time trying to, start my life as a recent grad. I didn't have the time to really train the people who oversaw the individual branches on the way to go about facilitating conversations, right? Because
Mm.
there was a method to the madness, and a lot of people just thought you just stand in the in the front of the classroom and you just tell people to speak or to be quiet. So eventually that kind of died down. I shut down the collegiate branches, and I I was helping my girlfriend at the time start her YouTube channel because I've never actually wanted to be at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work out. Like her channel didn't work out. So like I thought to myself, why don't I migrate We Need to Talk as far as what we were doing on college campuses on the digital in a digital way. So I started interviewing people on camera with the Kevin Samuels started this conversation series. This was around the time Kevin Samuels was really popping, and from there we did another series called Listen to Black Men. We did another series called The Table Podcast. And it's kind of just gradually grown since then.
Nice, nice, nice. What was it like from your vantage point anyway, in terms of like the changes when it came to dealing with like your family and friends, or did it change at all? And what did they think about your topics and your content?
So I'll answer the question, but I want to kind of come around. One of the pieces of content on my channel that I'm the most proud of was or is an interview that I did with Dr. Tiasan Johnson. I actually went out to Fresno. He invited me over to his house. We sat down, we chopped it up, but he dropped a lot of knowledge. And the way that we framed that conversation was we framed it as like different stages of understanding or cognitive function, as far as like explain Black masculinity to a baby girl, then explain it to a middle schooler, then a teenager, then a young woman, then an older woman. And I bring that up because one of the things that he mentioned, and he talks about a lot during on his channel as well, and you guys definitely check him out, brilliant brother,
Absolutely,
is the fact that there is this resistance to even entertaining some of these ideas.
Thanks.
And the most heartbreaking part of it is that resistance also comes from people who are already familiar with you. And I say all that to say there were a few people who were around when I founded We Need to Talk originally in 2013. They were around to watch me facilitate conversations on different college campuses. They watched me be impartial. They watched me be fair. They watched me be deep, nuanced, articulate the whole nine. But simply because I had a series called Kevin Samuels Started This Conversation, their assumption was, oh, he's become one of them. There was no benefit of the doubt given. There was no curiosity. There was no, oh, no, that's Allan. So I know even if he's talking about this thing, he's doing it with some integrity or some level of like
good faith.
Dignity.
Exactly. Good faith. Like you weren't just approaching it strictly through the lens of just, just shitting on women or just pandering to men like that. Okay.
Exactly. And I say that because that, for me, to answer your question, that's been heartbreaking, right? It hasn't been everybody. But there are two young ladies that I know for sure I went to college with, and that kind of led to the dissolution of our relationship, because I tell this to people all the time, even women that I talk to, like I pride myself in being reasonable, but the one thing that I won't do is be blamed for something I didn't do. The one thing I won't do is have to explain myself over and over and over again. Like, if you think I'm a good guy, like, start from that place the next time we have conversation. Don't make me have to reprove or re-emphasize the fact that I'm reasonable or I'm good or whatever the case may be. So that's been that for me.
Bro, I appreciate the fact that you articulated something in a way that I actually haven't heard anybody that I've asked this type of questions with so far in the space, or even behind the scenes. It's that subtle change when you start talking about relationships, intersexual dynamics, men and women's desired behavior versus non-desired behavior. And the moment you just start stating things as subjectively or anecdotally observably true, people, it's like they forgot it's you. And now it's like whatever caricature of the guy or man that they hate, that's like the worst version of what it means to be a misogynist. Now you're on his team. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so when it comes to men talking about women's behaviors, if it's not always in the affirmative, I've learned there is no nuance.
Yeah.
It almost comes off like there's damn near no nuance. It's either you're always sucking up to women, telling them what they want to hear, always kind of coddling. You can't ever just say, listen, this is something y'all doing that's not attractive or it's hurting you or
Right.
harming you, right? You can't just say that. And once I started doing that, and to be fair, I did it before YouTube, so I already started to experience it to a degree. But to see people that know you and see how you show up every day, and see how you engage with women and your own daughter and women in the workplace,
Mm.
and seeing how they, you know, they take hearing something negative, and now you're in the camp of being a misogynist, man. You said it was heartbreaking, man. I feel you with that.
Yeah, and you know, it's maybe kind of reconsider the whole "it's not what you say, it's how you say it" thing. I don't think it's true,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
It's often, especially in the modern day, right? It's not what you say, it's not how you say it. It's also who you are, who is saying it, right? It's who is saying
Mhm.
it. It's who they or how they feel about you or how they feel about the topic, right? Because we live in a time where social media and algorithms curate your own echo chamber,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So most people have no experience interfacing with, uh, dissent, with conflict, with, friction when it comes to like intellectual opposition.
Mm.
So, no matter how nicely you say it, right? Somebody back in the day called me the Mr. Rogers Kevin Samuels. No matter how nice how nicely you say it,
What they
no
call you?
the Mr. Rogers Kevin Samuels, no matter
Oh,
how
no,
soft
damn.
and it's if there is no capacity to even consider what is being said, it won't be received. And
Mm.
that's something that I'm still kind of figuring out how to navigate because I care deeply about these things that I'm talking about. It's kind of made me take a back seat, but like it's tough, man.
Bro, it is walking that tightrope, because at any
Yeah,
point in time, you can't just be like, you know what, F it. Let me
yeah,
just pretend the things I'm talking about ain't an issue and ain't happening. But it's like, the more I do these type of shows, the more I'm realizing that there was so few men that felt hurt, that felt like they
mm,
couldn't do this in private. They noticed things and they never spoke up to it in their households with their wives or girlfriends. They were societally kind of stunted from being able to acknowledge, no, it's okay to acknowledge, like, I can
yeah,
expect better from the woman that's in my life or the woman that wants to be in my life. Like, that's normal. And
yeah,
and I think your skill set was figuring out how you were one of the first ones in our age bracket that had the ability to take very controversial topics with sisters at that, and you see the shift and change in their faces.
mm,
And then before you know it, you got this analogy, you got this story, and before man, I'm like, your brother, this brother is dangerous. I was like,
appreciate
and
that,
but
appreciate
what you were teaching us, man, whether you realize it or not, you was teaching us there is an effective way to communicate with women.
yeah.
At least the women who are choosing to show up when you're engaging with them. And I appreciate that, man. So kudos to you for sure. One person I wanted to check real quick. Dusty 123. Appreciate you, good sir, for the $5. He writes, as two black men who speak about issues from non-traditional feminist perspective, does this impact how you raise your daughter? Asking for myself too. What do you think?
So, one of the critiques I'm sure a lot of men, especially who have engaged in these conversations, have heard is like, just worry about your household, worry about the women in your life, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my daughter's 4; she'll be 5 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I worry a lot about the amount of influence that media, social media, and just
Mm-hmm.
the general public is going to have on her. Right? Little kids are impressionable. I would say girls even more so, right? Because they're oriented towards like group cohesion and group dynamics. And I've even observed this with my daughter. So I care deeply about like what environment is she going to be in and what does that environment consider as normal What does
Mhm.
that environment consider as equitable or right and wrong, etc. So for me, it's trying to figure out how to translate some of these truths to her in a way that she can digest, but it's
Mhm.
also trying to like interface and engage with the world to make it a conducive environment to the best of my ability for my daughter, right? Because I
Yeah.
it's just like I use the real estate analogy. Like I could take care of my grass, but if yours is overgrown, my property value goes down, right? So we
Boom.
are a symbiotic
Yes.
species. We're a symbiotic community, and whether we like it or not, I have to give a crap about what's going on in the world on social media, on Instagram, etc.
That makes so much sense. And again, this is the second time, man, you articulate something that I don't think enough people are recognizing. Those of us that are trying to do this on this side,
Yeah,
we're trying to change the minds and culture that our daughters are eventually going to grow up in. And everybody else is, oh, you just wanted this or just wanted that. No, we're trying to warn her about some of the potential outcomes and,
yeah,
and risk that are involved when she adopts one mentality or one approach in life versus another. That's really what it is. And we're trying to tell the women that's ahead of her, y'all got to change y'all styles. Y'all got to change y'all vibes. Y'all got to change y'all environments. Y'all got to change even your expectations of what you want from men and how men can access you. And that we're basically telling women we see higher value in them than they see in themselves. And
mm,
it takes so long for,
mm,
for me to like beat this in their heads
yeah,
that the things that we're pointing out as men that actually genuinely care is trying to let you know that we see a whole new level of value in you, which is why we have the expectations that other people don't. And I'm
yeah,
like, there's a lost potential that's being squandered by modernity, feminism, sexual liberation to the nth degree. Like there's
mm,
just so many problematic things that's I think really, really hurting the ladies in their lens that they're then using to judge men, to judge safety, to judge culture. And it's
yeah,
like, if that for this question, I'm going to answer it straight. I'm going to almost try to teach her in a lovingly fatherly way to do damn near the opposite of what's in the culture. Do like the
mm,
teacher, like it's almost everything that seems normative, acceptable, and fine, and it's not going to be an issue for you down the line with men in relationships. Whatever advice they're saying on social media or reality TV or the single lonely influencer who's dating women and is a woman, like I want to just counter that on this channel and then
yeah,
counter it every day when I'm teaching and talking with her. So
yeah,
yeah, man, that's my thoughts about it.
100%. And I mean, to just add to that, I think the thing we're gonna have to kind of like reckon with, and I'm sure me and you are gonna touch on this, but
Mhm,
boys and men go in the way that women go, right? Like you
mm,
mentioned Wallow and
Gilly.
what's his name? And Gilly.
Mhm,
And one of the conversations they had that really stood out to me, like Gilly talked about how a lot of the dudes who wanted to sell drugs or join gangs, they did it to look cool to women, to look cool to girls
mhm,
in high school and middle school, etc. And their
mhm,
lives
mhm,
went down a certain path. I've seen comments on my own videos of guys talking about going to prison for 10 plus years simply because they were trying to become an archetype of guy that was
mhm.
impressive to women, right? So as
Crazy.
women continue to talk about how dangerous men are, as women continue to talk about how unsafe they feel in the world, I really want them to recognize that their posture and disposition influences the types of men that we see in the future. Right? Like
Mm,
you're seeing more women say that they don't want to have children. And it's
mhm,
like on the face, that's fine. But the best men that our species produces are fathers. They are men who aspire to be fathers, aspire to be
mhm,
leaders, aspire to be community centered. And if the female delegation says, this is not the type of man, or this is not the type of woman I want to be, therefore, it disincentivizes boys to want to be the type of man who would be compatible with that type of woman. So then, okay, you have a generation of women who don't want to be mothers, and you have a
mhm.
generation of boys who don't want to be fathers. What happens?
or the population, the repopulation rate is going to be below replacement rate.
Yep.
That's how it works. And
Yep.
what's wild is seeing and knowing. We've all, Kevin, so many others at this point have been talking for the last 4 or 5, now going on 6 years
Yep.
about this stuff. And then it was those who were doing it in an earlier sense when people didn't know, weren't doing this as much, or people didn't know about like the Tommy Sotomayor's 10 years ago. But like for the last 5-10 years, it's been functionally very difficult for anybody on the internet to have not been told there was an agenda to move towards decreasing the population and convincing women to hate marriage, to not to delay wanting to start a family, to children being a burden. These are all things that, like you said, from a societal, cultural, group dynamic standpoint, that ideology has been getting pumped in so many different ways. And the ladies that were constantly getting propped up on magazines and getting all the gigs were the beautiful women who kept going from guy to guy to guy, that, you know, was never settling down, living her best life, getting the bag. And then you're seeing this flood of women who are older, who are now talking about all these regrets they have, or that they never wanted it all along. And I'm like, you got Vivica A. Fox, who just looked like Vivica A. Knott. Then you got on the other end, you got Tracy Ellis Ross. She's been telling us for 20 years she don't need a man, but she still be trying to deal with him. And it's just like you're seeing the spectrum of older, highly successful, Hollywood standard beautiful women often, who, if they couldn't get it, if they couldn't maintain it, and they had the beauty and the status, what's it like for the normal everyday women who seeing them as idols?
Yeah.
So when they look at those ladies, I feel like they see those ladies as like damn near preachers. Whatever they say is the gospel. If they say, "Oh, don't date no man that don't do this," if he don't come this way, and they don't even keep men themselves long term. And these ladies are looking to them. And I'm not saying a person has to be in a relationship to give quality relationship or marriage advice. But if the trend is most of the influencers that you're looking at, none of them got rings. They collecting engagement rings like they ring pops. Maybe we got to get to a point in space. Like, can y'all have enough self-reflection, ladies, to imagine a world where everything is like flipped upside down? Everything that you think you're being told that you like is probably hurting or harming you or gassing you up for no reason. And all the guys like us in the manosphere, or just talking as men talking about women's issues, some of us may be coming from a legitimate place of care. So I actually want to ask you this. Being a man and a black man in this space, you know, it could be very tempting to kind of go with the whole pandering track, right? With there being like a market of men pandering to women, lying to them, telling them, you know, what they want to hear, rarely ever telling them what they need to hear. What are your thoughts about guys like that in this space, and how do you think they could potentially be contributing to the gender divide, and are they actually hurting women by constantly pandering to them? And feel free to include examples of any particular stations if you see fit. I'm 2026. I'm feeling mighty good about it, so people can identify this stuff.
Yeah. No, so I mean, I think there's a spectrum, and you know, I think it goes from like grifters, so like a Derek Jackson, like a Ace Metaphor would be on this side of the spectrum.
Oh, Ace made the cut. Damn.
Would be on this side of the spectrum. No offense to these brothers, but I'll explain what I mean.
Okay.
And then on the other side would be people who I would say are well intentioned, but are well intentioned, but I think they're doing more harm than good. So that would be like Dante Kyle. I actually think, and you know, I could be wrong for all three of these guys, but I think Dante Kyle is well intentioned, but I think he's inaccurate. Right? I think
I can see that.
I
think he's smart.
Yeah, right? I think he's smart, but I don't think he's done his due diligence in the inverse. Right. So as somebody, for instance, who um, would consider myself a progressive politically, who would consider
Mhm.
myself, I lean Democratic. I've probably consumed more conservative media than anything else. I watch Fox News.
Same.
I watch documentaries about the KKK, about white
Mhm.
supremacists, not just to like learn the enemy, but also to be able to um, articulate with the right nuance and the right context where they're wrong and where they are actually potentially right, where we might actually agree,
Yes.
right?
Overlap.
And,
Yep.
and
Yep.
so I think like if you're talking about male and female issues as an
Mhm.
example, but you haven't um, done the sophisticated due diligence to understand what men are saying past just the angry guys on the internet, it's easy to paint men with that broad brush and
Yep.
say women are benevolent and women are just, victims of bad experiences with men, etc. So I think like a Dante Kyle would need to talk to a Dr. Tia Johnson. I've
I
even
agree.
been humbled when I initially entered this space because I
Mhm.
in an attempt to be impartial, there were some things that I think I was too heavy-handed on, like the
Mhm.
passport bro movement, etc. And I've
Mhm.
had
Mhm.
to kind of like walk some of those things back. But with the grifters, I think it works both ways. I think because of the age that we live in, there's an incentive to simply give people what they want, right? People
Mhm.
don't want nuance. People
Mhm.
do not want complexity. They want simple answers. They want proclamations, and they want to hear their thoughts regurgitated to them. Right? They don't want to be challenged. Right? So
Yep. Yep.
when
Yep.
you enter a Derek Jackson, when you enter a Ace Metaphor, when you enter a even just Pearly Things, I would name her as well.
Mhm.
People who simply just tell people what they want to hear without
Mhm.
the proper due diligence. I think the algorithm and also audiences eat that up. Um, I think it's unfortunate, but it kind of is what it is, man.
Nah, bro, you hit it on the head in so many different ways. And what's wild is when we're on the other end and we're behind the scenes and we're seeing people's strategies,
Yeah.
I've observed and I have that disappointment. Shout out to Mrs. Smelter Rose is pulling up and everybody that I've been seeing coming up in the chat. So real quick, y'all, if y'all have not liked this video in the last 30 minutes since we've been talking, what y'all doing? Y'all know how y'all thumbs work. Feel free to hit that like button if you haven't done so. Also, make sure that y'all send it to 2 or 3 people if you haven't done so. I think across the board, men, women, millennials, Gen Z, baby boomers, you name it, Gen X, whatever. I think this is one of those conversations where we all can just sit in, chill, get your coffee, get your tea, wherever time of day it is, and just sit back and listen to two brothers just talk about a variety of different topics, which of course we're landing in right now on intersexual dynamics between the sexes for sure. And back to what you were saying, it's frustrating to see guys like Ace Metaphor and Deontay Kyle in the sense that I can tell that they're smart.
Hmm.
There's actual what I mean. Listen, you know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
There's content creation creators that are just so reactionary and stuck on my audience likes this that they
Yep.
never think about the short or long term consequences of when you keep pandering in such a way to either sex, especially to a large demographic of women. What you're doing is convincing them that all their issues in life are only the result of not themselves but someone else. And you're creating a generate. Now we're 2 consecutive generations of women that think everything that's wrong in society is not their fault. It's only men. They'll say, "Where's all the real men?" But they'll never turn the mirror inward. And they've been conditioned because of these panderers to be told if somebody leaves you, they're missing out. If
Yeah.
somebody's it's never that you dropped the ball, that you missed out as a woman, that you messed up on the right guy. It's always in the reverse. And we're trying to say the people who are really introspective are people who are willing to reevaluate, why did I make that decision? Why did I enter into that space? What am I willing to do different? And what am I willing to not only expect different, but give differently? And I'm like, that level of intentionality, those are the people who eventually get out the dating pool. I think the people who keep getting back in it and then the people who are stuck in it, it's that unwillingness to receive feedback. And like you said, it doesn't, it I came into this space trying to do the whole. I saw what y'all was saying about Kevin Samuels. I saw what y'all was saying about all these other people. Got a therapist background. I know how to do this. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. So now I've pivoted, believe it or not, and I'm pivoting more so towards just not for debate tactics, but now I'm trying to attack it through the lens of a lot of the logical frameworks you tried to mess with, right? Where you're trying to break apart the arguments, the methodology, the ideology, and showing how foolish it is to hold on to that and what the consequences are when you do. And for me, I'm in that headspace now. So it's like Deontay, Kyle, Ace, Derek Jackson is cooked. He's done. If there was a revolution, he'd be taking out all the men and siding with the women. So he's finito in my eyes. But Deontay, Kyle, and Ace Metaphor and guys like that, I can tell that they're very smart and they're so heavy-handed when it comes, like you said, they're so heavy-handed when it comes to holding men accountable so that women feel heard and seen and validated. And their responses and perspectives are like truly, I really believe like Deontay Kyle is like one of the better men that's able to at least humanize women's perspectives. I really do. Now, a lot of people could say he's pandering, all sorts of stuff, but he's also he's capturing a language that the ladies often can't translate to the male side. He is doing that, and like you said, I wish he could do it in the inverse. I wish he would realize that if he could take that skill and apply it on the other end, yes, he's going to lose some subscribers. Yes, he's going to get some women turning on him. All he's going to do is expose misandry and then build a base of men and women who sees him as a voice that's trying to explain and communicate between the sexes, not just always trying to go to bat for just women. So yeah, I appreciate the fact that you brought him up because the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't hate him, but I just wish for somebody his size and his experience and his educational background that he would consider for 6 months, what would it be like if I showed consistent care for men like I do for women?
As somebody who has gone down that path, I can say with full confidence, it's not lucrative. Like you mentioned, what am I at? 84,000, 85,000. Mm-hmm. I've been stuck at that for the past year. And the reason is the reason is being impartial is not lucrative. The reason is being balanced. Being balanced is not a good financial strategy. Now, I'm not saying that to toot my own horn or to make myself seem like some kind of moral authority. I don't know how to pander. I wish I could. Like I wish somebody could say something to me that is, kind of like a superficial critique of men, and I couldn't rebut with something like some context to add clarity to it, or vice versa with women. Like I wish I could do that. But the problem is, because of the background that I have, because of all the due diligence that I've done, some of the bullshit that we talk about with women, like we also need to talk about their monthly cycle. Is it luteal? Is it follicular? Is it ovulatory? Is it menstrual? Like, how is that impacting the way that she's even interfacing or showing up in this situation? And men, even on a micro level, the more we're familiar with some of these nuances, right? Or if you're a woman, what is your man's kind of like level of financial security? What's his level of feeling necessary in the relationship? That's going to color how he shows up and how he interfaces with you during some of these disagreements. So because I have all this like context, it becomes a situation where the men are calling me a simp, the women are calling me a woman hater at the same time. And I'm losing an audience instead of building one. Because at the beginning, when it was the Kevin Samuels series and I was challenging women on camera, I'd get a shit ton of views. But when I started having conversations with men and also calling out some of our dysfunction,
those same men wanted
to run. So we ask, like, why doesn't it happen more? Why don't we see more balance? Because unfortunately, and this is where I'm critical of our audiences, unfortunately, there's no demand for balance. There's not, when I say no demand, I don't mean no demand, but there's not a sustainable demand for balance.
Absolutely.
And the same is true on the political front as well. We talk about having, just Trump and then Kamala, because there's no demand for somebody who's reasonable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have to look at ourselves too.
I appreciate you saying that, bro, because I realize now, like, not only is that 100% facts, I'm like, yo, I for a while now have been sensing it. People, one random person here, oh, you should do a topic on this. You should do, and then sometimes you think about it, like, oh, you know what, let me do that, and then it goes nowhere.
Yep.
And then the 20th clip about woman something is going crazy. And it's like, fellas, this is 3 steps to make your life, to change, turn your life around. 20 views. And I'll be like, yo, y'all, fellas, and again, I appreciate you telling the audience, like, if y'all don't watch the stuff that is balanced, y'all kind of force people to kind of pick a side where they're just going to pick the side who they can be honest about. It isn't even pandering to men. It's like it's pandering by omission, where because it's like holding men accountable. Y'all don't watch it. Y'all don't engage in it. All y'all do is a handful of y'all are whining in the comments about it. And then with the women, 40,000 of y'all will watch that shit. And I'm like, yo, y'all, come on now, man. Like y'all can't keep claiming that y'all want us to do this type of work, and then we're doing good work and putting us in a position where the optics make it look like we just hate women.
Right.
Because nobody engages in the other stuff. So for me personally, I'm still going to try to balance it, but I know by doing so what that means long-term business model.
Yeah.
I know,
and right. The most frustrating part about it is like kind of like I think you said you can you can kind of gauge the quality of men in a certain community by the women, right? The women incentivize the behavior of the men. Similarly, and I, I'm not a fan of Fresh and Fit, but one of the things they brought up a while back that was significant to me, they said, we'll bring on these OnlyFans models who will say nonsense for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you'll see comments about men saying she needs to go, off herself, or, look at this slut, this and that. And the next day she's jumped up 20,000 subscribers on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever we are saying about women need to be this, women need to be, literally, we have financially incentivized their dysfunction. Now, I tell the women that, we want y'all to be better, but like this version of y'all is easier to sleep with. So like dudes who know how to finesse it, they like this too. But ultimately, in the long term, it's not good for you as a woman. But at the same time, like as we continue to spend our time liking, commenting, DMing these IG models who show, right now they're not even like hiding nothing. Right? That is what we're going to see more of.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to see more of, man.
Oh man, this is tough, man. It's one of the strangest things, man, when you start becoming a public commentator, I guess. And it is strange because I think a lot about this space, being doing this now for a year. I think a lot about the fact that my internal thoughts are now public. I'm like, you've been doing this for a few years now. Yeah. And I'm just now realizing, like, you can think you can psych yourself and prep yourself for that. Yeah. But it's another thing when you realize, like, oh shit, I did say that. I did put that out there. And realizing that the nuance you have to have gotten to that conclusion is not often the nuance people will allow for you with how they judge you. And I'm like, damn. And you saying like, yo, I'm pretty progressive, maybe a little left leaning. But I intentionally watch things from conservatives. I intentionally watch things from the right or from amongst Republicans and Fox News, and I don't just watch one thing. That it's like anathema. It's like people think, like you just said, a curse word by saying I'm interested in why people disagree with me.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that is intellectual curiosity is the anecdote of what we're experiencing, and even on a micro level, right? Like if you watch the Gottman Institute or even Esther Perel, those types of people, like the best way to handle conflict in relationships on a micro level is curiosity. Okay,
Yes.
why did you say that? Why did you feel the need to blah 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 blah? So I think we need to also like implement that at scale, right? And
Yeah.
the main thing that I've been trying at least to demonstrate is with some of these things that we are complaining about men, complaining about women, is there more behind the surface? Is there a reason why women feel like behaving this particular way is more beneficial, is more, lucrative than this other way that we're encouraging them to behave? Is there a reason why some men become future, right? Like I was watching a clip from like 92 of this guy. He's like a pickup artist.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like Oprah or something like that. But the interviewer asked him, what do women want? And he said, I don't care what women want. I care what they respond to.
Oh, to do with the glasses, the white boy.
Yes, I can't remember Jeff
Yep.
something.
He was a
Right?
savage when he said that. Hold on, repeat that for the audience again. What did he say?
He said he was asked, what do women want? He's a professional pickup artist. And he said, I don't care what women want. I care what they respond to.
Boom. Game
Right?
changer. Game
And,
changer.
and we, like, one of the things I tell the women that, I interface with, whether during interviews or, in my personal life, like,
Mhm.
Ultimately, whatever it is that you're complaining about, he ain't this, he ain't that, that's what you respond to. So to simultaneously tell him to be something outside of what he was to attract you is like it's a conflict of interest from his perspective. So maybe, like, can we reimagine a level of attraction or a type of attraction that also leads to good father and good grandfather? But I don't think that that is part of the vetting process, because then you want to turn somebody who's a good one night stand into the whole Until Housewife analogy, right?
Mhm.
It happens on both sides.
Facts. Yeah, man. And it's for the sake of just the dollar, and I understand people chasing the bag,
Yeah.
we can't replace ourselves. And we're becoming politically irrelevant as if we aren't already. And watching people from a very micro lens doing something that's keeping us further divided, it's very fascinating to see, like, what was that cost to sell out? To sell out your entire community?
Mm.
To when you pander to one sex specifically and consistently, you're the actual sellout, because you're espousing things that you know will keep us divided for the sake of the dollar. And I'm like, they want to do the whole you too conservative or independent, or you criticizing Obama or this or that. No. The sellouts are those that know what they're doing, that's causing us to continue to be far apart.
Yeah.
And doing it specifically for $1. So, damn. That was
And
good stuff. Go ahead.
I think that is, I don't think that is talked about enough.
Mm.
Right. So I work in marketing. That's like my day job. And statistically speaking, I think they said 80 or 90% of retail decision making is done by women. So the entire marketing apparatus is targeted towards women, particularly young women, right? And it's for two reasons. Number one, because women spend money more frivolously than men do. But number two, I think like the human condition is discontent. I think women suffer from it more acutely. Right. So like you're pretty, but you're not pretty enough. You're rich, but you're not rich enough. I think men suffer from that, but like I think we deal with it a little bit better than women. And then considering women's like need to be in a group dynamic, be up on the latest, et cetera, et cetera. So like there is every incentive to tell women what they want to hear. There is every incentive to feed women that your happiness, your contentment is on the other side of this hill. That's on the other side of this hill. That's on the other side of this hill. And I think as men, it's important we recognize that as well, to see what they're up against. And as women, it's important that they recognize that, to understand that they are part of a much larger game. And like what you think is empowerment, what you think is like girl power, freedom, etc., is really you just being a pawn on the chessboard of De Beers or Lululemon or whatever other multinational corporation
Or
that
oligarchs in general. Yeah.
is reliant on the fact that can't nobody tell you nothing, so you can spend the way that nature intended.
The capitalism loves an independent woman.
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm learning and observing and realizing is capitalism loves women who don't have to think about a family. It's always about traveling every year. It's always about experiences. That's what capitalism loves. It loves that. It it's fascinating to see so much history, so many talking points, so many things that we've all been talking about now for a handful of years. And to
Yeah.
see the amount of, first of all, it's wild to me to see any rational woman still self-identifying in 2026 as a feminist. Like it's not even a flex at this point when people were made to actually go back, look at authors, look at quotes, look at funding. And I'm like, how the hell? Like you could say, listen, I agree with some components of it, and a lot of this stuff is way off. And the version of it today does not I cannot identify. Like there's still women that's doubling down and identifying with calling themselves a feminist even today. So real quick, y'all, before I forget, I see over 200, almost 240 people are currently watching right now. Shout out to everybody that's been watching and enjoying this content. If you haven't liked the video, please make sure that you do. Feel free to kind of send it to 2 or 3 people. Let's try to get this number up to potentially 3 or even 400 tonight, if possible. That can only happen if you send each of you send it to 2 or 3 people for sure. So please make sure you like this. Feel free, and you're more than welcome to become a member if you haven't done so already. And become a subscriber. Why not? And click that $sign and feel free to donate to the channel if you can. $2 or $3. We would greatly appreciate it. There was a few super chats I wanted to make sure I get to before I forget. Talking ish. Thank you for the $4.99. Peace to Allan. Salute to Jeff for the interview. Keep talking facts. Peace to the chat. Happy New Year. Yeah, man. Appreciate you for showing up. I've seen you a few times in the chat already. In different videos for sure. And you always show love, bro. And I appreciate you. Marluma, brothers, you cannot help those who don't want to be helped. This is facts. KS tried. He got demonized to the grave. The message is only good for those who will hear it. Facts. That's fair. Which is why I don't do a lot of debates personally. No, Miss Maggie, I did see you earlier. Happy New Year, supporting the conversation. Thank you, Miss Maggie, for your gift as well. Great fan of the show. And if you guys haven't checked out her channel, please make sure you watch the interview I've had with her, and make sure you subscribe and follow her on Instagram and YouTube as well. And then last but not least, Jason, thank you for the $10. The binary Eurocentrism and the white hegemony of are seriously problematic. Yeah, man, it's definitely something. But I will say with this, I think a lot of times we're struggling as a unique people group in this place, trying to reestablish a culture that was lost, and not exactly knowing what that looks like in a modern context in America. I think we're trying to figure out what masculinity looks like after the cat's been let out the bag, after sexual liberation, after feminism, after everything that women do is seen as empowerment. We're now trying to figure out what does masculinity and femininity look like in that context. So it's new territory, man. We have gadgets, we have devices, we have things that are just different than what I think a lot of other people prior to us could have ever imagined going through. Nobody was walking around with this, being able to see 1,000 different women in a given day, completely naked, 24/7, and still being challenged to have the ethics of a man that never would from 2,000 years ago. It's different. It's different times. So we're navigating and figuring out. So again, y'all, if y'all are in the chat, we're climbing up almost to 240. Listen, if we can try to get it to 300 or 400, I would greatly appreciate it. And how we do that, get them likes up and send it to 2 or 3 people that you know would enjoy and love this stuff. And Lodge 267, hey, what's going on? Supporting the movement. Thank you for the $10 for sure. Okay, people trying to impress your boy a little bit. Yeah. And Maggie is the OG from Kevin to the lead attorney. Absolutely. She's definitely one of the OGs for sure. And the dope thing is talking with some of these people behind the scenes. I wanted to let y'all know, some of the people I've been bringing on, a lot of them who I've actually had time to engage with, they're really like this in real life, like every day. Dave Anderson is exactly the same. Allan, he's exactly the same dude. He don't try to sound deep when the camera on. This is that. This is actually who he is, man. So shout out to everybody that's watching right now. So again, if you're watching right now, feel free to like it. Feel free to share it with 2 or 3 people, and let's recommend. So, Passport Bros, tell me your honest opinions. I remember you mentioned it earlier that you used to judge them kind of hard. What are your views of like the pros and cons of it now, in terms of like relationships and pursuing sexual optionality in foreign lands?
So I'll work backwards. I'm Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria. Migrated here as a kid. That's why like my accent is so convincing. But a lot of what happens in the Nigerian community is after young men have established themselves, late 20s, early 30s, even later sometimes, it's fairly common that either he goes back to Nigeria to find a wife in a village, or maybe even in the city if they're family friends who live there, or sometimes the extended family who is back home will literally organize a wife for him. And on the face, it sounds good, but what happens sometimes that there are a lot of stories of men, Nigerian men who've married women, brought them to the United States, put her through school to become a nurse, which is ironic because according to divorce attorneys, nurse is the second highest female group of people who file for divorce, only second to homemakers.
All right, nurses.
But put her through school, she becomes a nurse, and then she files for divorce and tries to take everything from him. And there are 2 ways to look at it. You could look at it from the way that it's like, he did so much for her, she was ungrateful, and did this. You could also look at it from the sense where it's like he took advantage of her need for him, and she got to a place where she was empowered and no longer needed that dynamic, and then she emancipated herself. Anyway, I say all that to say that I think that scarcity and abundance usually don't play nice together. If you're coming from a position of abundance and you're dealing with somebody in a position of scarcity, it's very difficult to deal with each other on a same plane, right? Even outside of the romantic lens, there are a lot of brothers who go back home to start businesses, right? Because we talk about the concept of Sankofa, right? Even though you left the continent, you should look back and want to give back. And they report very frequently that the people that they're trying to help are the very people who are robbing them. They're not reporting profits properly. They're taking some on the side, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a quote that I like. He said, when I'm fighting for Black liberation, I only use one arm because I have to use the other arm to fight Black people. Right. So whether we're talking about business, whether we're talking about like freedom fighting of politics, or we're talking about the realm of romance and love, it's very hard to interface with scarcity if you're coming from a place of abundance, which is why I always caution brothers, if you think the grass is going to be greener on the other side, because this woman in Colombia, this woman in the DR, this woman in Brazil needs you, right? And because her hardware is different because she needs you, but her software still has the same feministic programming that we're complaining about. When the power dynamic shifts in her favor, you will suffer the consequences, probably even more, because this is giving a gun to a toddler in the sense that they've never had this power dynamic, right? So I always just say proceed with caution. With that being said, and I made a video about this. I went to Colombia.
Hold on. Let me hear this. Let me turn that volume up. Go ahead. What happened?
I went to Colombia.
And mind you, I'm banned from going to Colombia, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, Brazil, Colombia. I'm not allowed to go there.
Oh Lord, we got to talk about that. But anyway, I went to Colombia, and number one, all the videos that Passport Bros post, particularly like a few years ago, of like they're walking down the street and the women are all over them. those women are prostitutes, guys. They are prostitutes. I'm just going to report it as it is. They might be the most beautiful prostitutes you've ever seen, but they are prostitutes nonetheless.
Thanks.
With that being said, the woman the woman at the airport who's just like a teller at the airport would be equivalent to like a Miami 8. Like they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's some fine women over there, right? So with that being said, like, you know, the competition for beauty globally is stiff, and America does not have the monopoly on beautiful women.
Absolutely.
And like I said, you have to take into account the whole scarcity thing and how that plays a part in your ability to relate and build something with this woman. And the other thing too is, like, typically people prefer to interface with like people. So people who speak their own language, people who understand their customs, etc. So there are a lot of women who have been trained. And I interviewed a lady from Uganda, and she literally told me this. They've been trained to smooth you over, so you can be their piggy bank and their family's piggy bank for all intents and purposes. But the type of love and affection and like partnership that we have been socialized to crave as American men, it's going to be very hard to get that from a woman who's non-American. So I'm not saying I'm against it completely. It's just a proceed with caution.
Nah, I acknowledge, man, that there's definitely pros and cons no matter which area, territory you want to try to have access to women, right? And one of the things that I've been thinking about, and I actually appreciate the nuance of what you brought about, we've heard it before about bringing her back to the States. Somebody had just commented, that's why you don't bring them back. That's like a thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that power dynamic that you mentioned when the person with excess is interacting with a person who's coming from a place of severe need, or what did you describe it as? Scarcity.
Scarcity, yes.
Scarcity. One of the things that I think a lot of men don't realize, you got to build yourself up, you got to have X amount, you got to be able to afford everything, is, and that she shouldn't have to do X, Y, and Z, is when that gap is so massive, the larger that gap is, the harder it is for you to determine what a person's true motives are.
Yep.
The wider the gap is in wealth is between you and the woman you're trying to pursue, the harder it is for you to determine if she's really there for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is why athletes and very rich and wealthy men, no one says that they're wise to get married. Especially, like, look what Tyrese has been through. Right? And then what happens is when you come out, everybody's talking about, why are you complaining? Why are you whining? You knew what you got when you first did it. So the reality is like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And if you focus so much on building and not building with someone, that is a risk on the other side. Because the guys, what tends to happen for some guys is, I don't want to build with a woman. I want to be established. That's one way, and a lot of women expect that. But then when you get to the finish line of your success, it's all women that's been waiting for winners. It's women that's been waiting for winners that's waiting at the finish line of your success. Yeah. And if you don't pick that up and realize that, that means when she thinks that she can have a better winning odds with someone else or something else, she'll pick that.
Yeah.
She's overlooked other men and would have overlooked you until you had crossed that finish line to pique her interest successfully, financially. And then when you put yourself in these high leveraged positions, domestically and abroad especially, female nature ain't as dumb as y'all make it out to be. They gonna get access to some of the resources, whether it's a ring, whether it's an hourly rate or 5-minute rate for some of you gentlemen. The families requesting different things. You don't even have to marry them abroad. And that don't mean you ain't gonna be still spending out thousands every month.
Yep.
So the reality is like, I just think that fellas, whether it's abroad or domestic, having more discernment and being more mindful of the pros and cons of dealing with said woman, just go into it with your eyes wide open. At the end of the day, dating and relationships and marriage comes with risk nonetheless. I do have a second question for you, or another question. Simps and the pedestal position. Women often talk about wanting these men that, like, are always chasing after them, and I want a man that's this.
Cap.
Like, do they, please, I don't believe it. So please
Mm-mm.
tell me, do women actually want a man that puts them on a pedestal from your vantage point?
No. And this kind of ties in the last thing we were just talking about. I think, my biggest critique for men, including myself,
Okay.
right? I'm not immune to this, is I think a lot of us have juvenile expectations of reality. Not just women, but reality, right? Like the entire concept of the red pill is to like wake up to the reality of the world, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like those same movies that, tricked women into believing they were princesses, tricked us into believing we were Prince Charmings as well. Tricked us into believing that this is who we needed to be, this is who we needed to become, period, and then we would be fine, right? So a lot of the programming we want women to undo, we also have to undo it as well. And some of the truths as it relates to dealing with the world or dealing with women more specifically are paradoxical, right? Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the book The Prince by Nikolai Machiavelli.
Absolutely.
He talks about, basically it's a blueprint on how to be a sociopath in the context of being a prince trying to seize and maintain power.
Yep.
The reality of the world is you have to be a bit Machiavellian to navigate, particularly the higher you get.
I got that
Is
book
it
upstairs right
possible
now.
to be Gandhi?
Mhm.
Sure. Is it probable? No. Similarly, to navigate women, there is, and there's like a biological imperative for this, but like there is some narcissism that's necessary. There is some dark empathy that's necessary. There are some less than ideal traits that, for whatever reason, women find irresistible. The guy that she's always thinking about, the guy that she can't forget, is not the guy who bought her the most flowers. It's not the guy who took her on the most dates. It's not the guy who was the what do white women like to say? Golden retrievers. Those aren't the guys. It's the pit bulls. It's the Dobermans that were nice, but at the end of the day, don't play with me, right? Because if I cannot, as a man, set boundaries and boldly state my expectations to a woman, I cannot do that to the world. And for me to be successful in the world, it necessitates that I'm able to say, this is what and who I am, and this is what and who I'm not. And I'm willing to, what do Hoodoo say? I'm willing to die about it.
Yeah,
and we critique the Pookies and the Ray Rays, and why do they? That's a trait that they tend to have. That some of us polished brothers who were indoctrinated in all the good guy tropes fail at, and we think it doesn't make sense, but it's like it's one of those things that are paradoxically true.
Yeah. I think it's absolutely facts, where it's like, even if they got that treatment from the men that they actually really wanted, it'll change how they see him. And in the guy that was cheating all the time and couldn't keep the women away and was always the moment he completely locks in, and now he's so into you, and he stays at home, and now she's bored, and now she looking like it's one of the funniest, strangest things to see. And of course, ladies, of course, this isn't every woman, so
right,
get your panties in a bunch. Like, this is about the women that do show these traits and acknowledging, like, a lot of y'all that, like the gentleman you quoted earlier, when asked, like, if you're a pickup artist, you, as men, when you grow up, you have to go off of not just what you're trying and what women are telling you. You have to look and see at what women are responding to. Who are they sleeping with? Who are they giving children to? Who are they giving opportunities to? My argument has been, there's such a huge percentage of ladies that are single now because the version of man they want in their 30s and 40s was not who they spent their time being chased by, laughing with, hanging out with, and enjoying quality time with in their teens and 20s. that the stability was not necessarily high on the priority list. Maturity was not super high. It was the vibe. It was the energy. It was the excitement. Was such the idea of whether or not he'd be a good father or not was just not high on the priority list, and now it is. And I'm like, it. What's sad to me is not just that women actually don't like it. It's that they're still accepting those men on the back end of these decisions and then making those men pay for it, not just financially, but also with the lack of value and respect in him and his leadership.
One more point about the whole pedestal thing, but like if you looked at my YouTube watch history, it is a mess. Like I watch all kinds of stuff. But anyway, I was watching a panel of Nobel laureates. They were discussing something, right? These are all Nobel Prize winners. One of the things I noticed is that none of them smiled, not once. Not once, right? The often we conceptualize success with happiness. I think that's probably like a more feminine definition, but the reality of like when you look back at history to the most successful, the most consequential people, and particularly men who've ever existed, they were happy was not how you would describe them. They were focused. They were principled. They were happiness is a very surface, superficial. They were convicted, right? And I think as men, we've also lost sight of that. Like whether women can articulate what I just said, they respond to it. Like there's something inspiring and empowering about being with and being next to her and in proximity with the man who is convicted, right? And the flip side, the Faustian bargain, is a man who's convicted, you'll never be his priority. You will be under his jurisdiction, under his care, under his umbrella, his padding, whatever, but you'll never be his priority. So when a man is putting you on a pedestal, he's not that guy. Because that guy has too many things on his pedestal. That guy is thinking about 2 generations in front of him to be worrying about your mood swings because your coworker said something you didn't like. So I think as men, it is a tightrope that we have to walk because we do have to be careful and delicate with the reality of like navigating a woman and joining your life with a woman and trying to create space for her. But at the end of the day, you have to keep the main thing. A friend of mine told me a quote that really stood out to me. He said, before God, and I'm not even super religious, before God gave Adam Eve, he gave him a job. He said, tend to this garden. So the job was your priority before your woman. And the job, that garden is what feeds your woman. So if you fuck up and you don't tend to your garden properly, she starves too. So as much as she might be telling you, hey,
I need more time. I need more of this. I need more of that. Like, yeah, it's this again. I think it's counterintuitive.
It is.
It absolutely doesn't make sense. Yep. And I've even heard ladies complain about guys being like, he always up on me. He ain't got nothing else going on. He this or that. And it's like, I think what they're actually articulating is, I want you around when I want you around. And otherwise, I need you getting the bag. That often is really what it is. And it's based on a daily basis of when it is that she wants it. Time, attention, physical touch, verbal affirmations, physical gifts, etc. It's every month it's different. Every week it's different. And she just knows when she feels it, that's when she wants it. And I think that's actually what's going on versus this standard, because sometimes she wants to just chill with her, talk with her girlfriends. Other times she wants her alone time. And she doesn't want to feel like she isn't a priority at all. But each woman in a given week, listen, a lot of times it's just if they're hungry or not. Like you ain't got to get no PhD to realize, like, if you get a woman where she's happy with food, I'm one of them simple dudes that think about 60% of the time your problems will not exist if, when the whole Snickers commercial, when your woman starts getting a little upset, ask her when she last ate and if she wants something to eat.
Mm.
Now, fellas, if you watching this, don't show her this video. Don't show her this video. But what I'm saying is, believe it or not, I actually think that there's something to it in terms of the way that their neural processing works, that their neural connections work. I think that they feel, in terms of neuroticism being more expressed on the female side, I actually think that they feel emotions just way more deeply. So
Yes.
when they feel bad, they feel really bad. When they feel sad, they feel really sad. Like it's another level of depth of the emotion that they're experiencing. And she's looking at you crazy, like, why aren't you upset about this? Why aren't you concerned? And it's like, because she's literally different. And I think that if guys started to factor in more, and a lot of times, to be fair, a lot of the ladies be hard-headed, my wife included. Hey, babe, did you eat? You upset? Did you this or that? Did you eat anything today? No. I'm like, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, and they were like, oh, I had some crackers today, like just stupid stuff like that. So I think there's something to it where even small little jokes like that, I think it could change men's perception of what's actually going on with ladies a lot of times.
And I think that's why, like, these more nuanced conversations are so very needed, because some of this stuff is paradoxical, right? Like, somebody said, the difference between men and women is, like, if a man is sad, he's sad.
Yeah.
A woman, on the other hand, can be happy that she's sad, and horny because she's happy that she's sad, and guilty because she's horny that she's happy that she's sad, all at the same time. Right. So as a man, as being the riverbed to the river that is a woman, the water, the flowing, the ethereal nature, you have to be steadfast. You have to be the structure that is often, like, bucked up against, that is often maybe even like underappreciated, but is a rock, is unchanging, right? And how to do that is a completely different thing. But, like, we need to have more of these conversations instead of simply demonizing things we don't understand on both sides.
That's really what the gender war is people demonizing a new spectrum of expression for men and women in modern times after the effects of, well, everything, technology advancements, feminism, hyper capitalism, which we're effectively in a corporatocracy at this point. It's where the cost of living is insane. So much has shifted and changed, and rather than acknowledging that has now created a new landscape, we've chosen to only fixate on what the landscape once was, and that's what we need to get back to. And I'm like, I keep saying it, the cat's out the bag. So unless Gen Z does something like radically different, I don't see how we really will fix much, other than what's the new prescriptions and recommendations for people that are open to the possibility of pursuing a relationship with someone who comes with one or multiple children, versus just being like, stay away from all single parents, men and women. Like, they're here, they exist. Those kids don't get an extra parent because the other parent for some reason can't be involved or they're deceased. Let's just increase their statistical chances of coming out into society and screwing things up again. Or we could say, is there space in our understanding for single mothers and single fathers, for people who have been to jail before, people who have made poor decisions in the past, people who are divorced? Like, is there space in our anthropology to understand the full spectrum of humanity and not just see people only through the lens of what they've done wrong, but also with what's their potential options as a result of who and what they are today?
Right. And I think part of and what you mentioned is brilliant, is, like, I think we overly romanticize the past. Right. We overly romanticize the good old days, and grandma was cooking and cleaning and taking care of kids, when your uncle isn't your grandfather's kid. Right. We don't talk about that part. When he came back from Vietnam, she had a baby that he didn't put in her. We don't talk about that part. Right. So I think we have to be like I keep saying, we have to be more sophisticated in our nostalgia and also in our foresight of like what's possible in the future, because it has to take into account the reality of female nature, the
Mhm.
reality of male nature, and the realities that we're coming from that inform even how we think about these things, instead of just painting these things with like negative broad brushes or even overly positive broad brushes.
Nah, that's it, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate. Listen, y'all, we're gonna be wrapping up in a little bit. So
sure.
again, there's already 250 plus people in the chat right now. Let's see if we can get it to 300 before we close out. All you got to do is send this video to 3 people. Make sure you like. Listen, comment if y'all in the chat. If y'all been watching silently, I hate them silent watchers. Let you know you let your boy know that you are in the building and watching and enjoying this content. And feel free, y'all, to click on the $sign and hit the super chat and donate $2 or $3 if you see fit. If you've been enjoying this particular dialogue, for sure. Something that I've been wanting to ask you for some time is your actual general thoughts about the manosphere and the red pill space itself. We're on the younger side, having been doing this, recently, myself included. What the state of it, why you think women feel how they feel about it, what's the good and bad that comes with overall with the manosphere red pill stuff?
So I used to work in mortgage. I was a mortgage loan originator. And I remember like the company that trained me to get my license to become a mortgage loan originator, my manager, he once told us that, we could have gone out and hired, people who had already been in the industry, even past 2008, et cetera. But
Mm-hmm.
we wanted people who were fresh, who were optimistic, who weren't jaded by the reality of the mortgage industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that unfortunately, some of the voices that are representative of the manosphere are jaded.
Mm.
And I think being jaded in that way limits their ability to, and I think this is true on the females on the sprinkle side as well.
Mm-hmm.
It limits your ability to tell the truth in an impartial way. Right.
When
So
you're
we talk
still
about like
jaded, hold on. When you're still jaded, it impacts your ability to tell the truth in a.
an impartial way. Right. Like if I've spent the last 20 years trying to get people to listen to me about the plight of men, I have no capacity to even consider the plight of women.
Mm.
I have no capacity. What's the saying? If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Like I have
Mhm.
no capacity to even like make a point that supports a position women have that is in opposition with like the manosphere. Because
Yeah.
I've been riding so hard for this. So I say that because I do think there are some voices in this space
Mhm.
that have been in here too long. And I say this as somebody who has not been here long, but has also like felt some of that jade start to come on me like, you motherfucker. So I can
Mhm.
only imagine if I was,
10 years of doing it.
in the blog area era and on the Reddit threads and all that good stuff. Um, so, I think it's important to like pass the baton from time to time,
Mhm.
new blood, etc. Um, but I think anything, even if it's done with good intentions or initiated with good intentions, it could become corrupt, right?
Mm.
I think some parts of it are corrupt. We have to tell the truth, right? And I think that part of the reason I'm so enthusiastic about always mentioning brothers like Dr. T.S. Johnson is because that should be the representation of what men are saying. The
Mhm.
articulate, polished, refined, specific points about this is what's happening, this is how it affects boys, this is how it affects men, and this is what it means for the future.
Mhm.
Because if we're not doing that, then we're just bickering or we're engaging in what I like to call YouTube mandingo fighting. Who can
Mhm.
make the best point at the best time and drop the mic and make the other person look stupid and make the shut down the panel and it just becomes caricature and it becomes nothing for the entertainment of people who care nothing about black folks, care nothing about men, women, etc. Right? So we have to
Mhm.
be careful as an audience and as creators to be more sophisticated and to be more deliberate with what we're doing and how we're going about it.
Bro, in my 1 year of doing this, I completely decreased my output of hopping on panels when I sensed that.
I told you, remember? I told you about it.
Literally told me this way back in the summer, and I gotta go wherever people invite me to. Man, what it is that panel culture, when there's too many people who are what you described as people who are hopping in front of cameras and behind microphones that are jaded, that are unhealed, that are still bitter and angry towards the opposite sex. Like you said, they don't have that capacity to even strive to try to be balanced. In fact, overwhelmingly, they're going to have such a skewed view that they've come up with such an incredible narrative to explain everything that's ever wrong being the fault and blame of the opposite sex. And it's like when you get a man, like you said, that's been talking for so long or felt that he couldn't talk for so long about men's issues, men's needs, what life was like as a single father, or getting divorced from a woman who he poured so much into, and society giving up on him or people not listening. When he gets behind a microphone, like you said, how much is he really interested in women's issues, needs?
Yeah.
Like probably not much at all. So I'm like, that was such an excellent point, because if I had to estimate, and I'm going to woman's fear, manosphere, I'm going to say, being somebody that really, really deep dive into the manosphere space, I would say about 65-ish% of the manosphere stuff is kind of what you're describing to me. I think that there's very, very few guys that care not only about addressing men's issues and needs, but also how they can be better men towards women.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them do well with acknowledging men's pain and hurt, but they channel and push these men to become better versions of themselves, to have all these options so that they can then use their power and their new dynamic in the dating space to get back what they couldn't get from in return from the ladies. Now y'all just options to me. Now y'all not a priority. And I'm like, a lot of men are pushing men to be better versions of themselves in all the areas but their character. So now you're making all this money. Your physique is incredible. You're more charismatic. You're more able to have. You're a great conversationalist. You're outgoing, and it's never designed with the best part of what you're capable of in terms of your character and who you're choosing for long-term commitment, if you even want that. And I'm like, a lot of men have a space for that because men can see results. Men can see their lives getting better. So they never challenge the guy's conclusion in the end. If I'm getting stronger, if I'm eating better, if I'm making more money, why wouldn't I listen to this guy's other conclusions about never settling for one woman, or treat him like, disposable, and this and that? And I'm like, yeah, that's a subtle thing where there's men that speaking such truth in good components that their final prescriptions in the end just creates, how do I get in the top 5-10% so that now I can do what everybody else was able to do that's up there. That's what I think a lot of, unfortunately, the manosphere has turned into. There's definitely guys like yourself, Media Man, obviously Dr. Tia Johnson, Tommy Curry, Black Z, you name it. There's definitely, I'm pretty deep in the weeds, so I definitely would say there's a solid 35 to 45% of guys that I think are approaching it a little more in the middle between like the two of us. But that solid 65, maybe even 70%, they're covering things that's important, but I know in the end, they're not making recommendations for us to establish long-term meaningful families. They're not, so it's definitely strange to see. And it's unfortunate because I think once you get a really big platform, like you said was right, they don't get that big by being balanced. They don't get that big. And then what about women's feelings about the manosphere now in 2025, 2026, now that we've been trying to educate them more about this space? How do you think women are today in light post Kevin Samuels and now guys like us engaging in this type of work?
My favorite comment to get is, I really enjoyed this video. I'm gonna send it to my husband, or I'm gonna send it to my boyfriend, or I'm gonna send
Mm,
it to my girlfriend or my wife. Because for me, the North Star has always been like encouraging people to engage in healthier ways, right? Engage with that curiosity, engage with that. There's something that I don't know, but that is valuable to me that you can teach me as a
mm,
man,
mhm,
as a woman, etc. Um, I've seen some of that. Um, unfortunately, I think you know. Unfortunately, we're mirrors of one another, for better or worse.
mhm,
So
mhm.
the rise of Kevin Samuels also precipitated the rise of Sprinkle Sprinkle. The rise of Dr. Tia Johnson, also the pink pill, and
Mhm.
the people on Twitter. What's the Twitter thing where like you can voice chat with a group? I forgot what it's called.
Um, Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, God
Yeah,
bless
yeah,
you. Yeah,
yeah.
Clubhouse, where they talking about, can you help us get black men together? Talking to KKK members, like
Yeah,
all that
man.
stuff is happening at the same time. So like you have a group who's like they've gained some kind of insight and they're using it productively, and then you've got the other group that's just become more bullheaded dissenters. And
Mhm, mhm.
I'm not willing to even hear what you have to say because you're the ops. And again, none of this is unique to the male female conversation. It happens in politics,
Yep.
it happens in religion, it happens on other in other ways where human beings kind of rub up against each other. So
Mhm,
I just think as the people with the power, with the influence, with the content, um, the best thing we can do is be more responsible
mhm,
in crafting messages that are going to outlive us.
mhm, mhm. I love what you said, man. And again, it's sitting on that panel point. I don't think people realize how extremely difficult it is to maintain that type of perspective when you're placed on a panel with 5 or 6 different other personality types and
Yeah,
motives and agendas. It's
yeah,
extremely difficult to not be defensive, to not be
yep,
reactionary, to not lean in on one side or the other. It's because the some of the people that's on the panel, they're not coming on because they want nuance. They don't wanna have a conversation. They want a debate and they wanna win, or at
yep,
least get the impression or appearance that they won.
yep,
And I'm recognizing, like, debates are fun to watch, but they're not fun to engage in if people are not serious about actually doing the debate in an actual formal manner. If it's just an impromptu, spontaneous debate, they're gonna cross lines, boundaries, over talking. Like it's just not. They're almost never productive, and like you said, it turns
yep,
into this horse and pony circus show where every panel is now about trying to own him or own her and own this feminist. And I'm like,
yeah,
all right, man. Like I get
yeah,
it, but like at the end of the day, it's like I'm realizing now, like that's such a huge component of the manosphere space right now. That me, you, we're literally same thing with your channel. You're just doing different stuff. Like you're
yeah,
just you're not. I can tell you're not actually following the script. Like that's just why you can take your hiatuses when you do it. Like yo,
yeah,
who the hell does that? Like how you just take a
yeah,
hiatus? Like it's the thing where when you're actually trying to create, when you're not just
yeah,
reacting, when you're trying to create, when you're trying to think of perspective and light and which types of women or which types of black
yeah,
women you're going to bring on. This it's a different level of thought that it could cost us financially to some respect, but I understand why people change when they do that every week, multiple times a week. You
yeah.
can't stay a saint. You can't stay the same. I feel like Kevin Samuel's blood pressure started going up the more we were watching him,
Oh
the
yeah,
more we
100%.
were yeah.
It takes its toll on you, and I think it's similar to like what happens in the music industry. Like like back
Mhm.
in the day, you could take your time and make an album,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But now, because of AI, because of what's a thing called where people could just put up songs just like that, you have to always be dropping singles. You have
Yeah.
to always be dropping singles. So like with greater output, quality goes down. That's the Faustian bargain, right? You can have something fast, but if you're going to have it cheap, it's not going to be good quality. If you have something fast but it's expensive, but it's good quality, it's not going to be cheap, right? It's that, you know. So the thing that we're sacrificing in the name of cheap and speed is quality. Like there's no thought put into a lot of the things people are saying. There's no thought put into a lot of the things people are putting out because simply I just want to be relevant. And to your point about people getting on panels, it's not I have something important to say or I have a unique perspective or I have an anecdote that's going to resonate with a lot of people. I just want to be seen. I want my 15 minutes. I want my Instagram followers to go up. Right. And as somebody who has the Instagram followers and the YouTube and all that, it don't mean nothing. It really doesn't mean nothing. And if it means something to you, you really have to reevaluate your life because it's not real. It's really not real.
It's numbers on the screen, bro.
It's numbers on the screen, man.
It's so surreal. And shout out to Chicago Black Delegation. My man is always on your boy neck and he consistent in the chat. He said, man, LOL, gotta admit, I was wrong about you, Jeff. Good luck with being balanced in this space. Yeah, man. Despite popular belief, I know it takes a while when you talk about politics, race, gender things. Once you give a strong stance or opinion on anything, people allow that to define you in totality. So once you say something critical about women, now that defines your whole message. Now it's just the guy who's hard on women, as if you don't have the ability to do this in other areas as well. So yeah, man, I appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. So I saw at one point we cleared over 250 at one point. So y'all, I got 2 more questions and then we're gonna wrap up this show because I've been enjoying this conversation for sure. So guys, if you have not liked it, please make sure you like this video. Send it to 2 or 3 people if you haven't. And when the video is fully processed and updated, I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it to the post on YouTube so everybody knows that it's time to go ahead and try to hype up the video for sure. What has Love Island, the T-app, Pop the Balloon, Sprinkle. What has all of that, or what is all of those messages that's designed to get female attention? What does that reveal to you about female nature?
You know, one of the things that I usually push back against is when people dismiss some of the conversations we're having as, you know, like people like to say, go touch grass. And I think it's well intentioned. But I think what's missed is, like, you know, back in the day, reality or art imitated reality. Today, reality imitates art. So a lot of what we're seeing on the internet, on TV, is a reflection of our, what do people smarter than me like to call it, our shadow self. There are a lot of women who watch Love Island, and even though it goes against everything that they actually believe on a moral level, is a reflection of some of their desires. There are a lot of men who watch social media, even the Fresh and Fit show, and they wish they could talk to these hoes like that, right? So I think, like, part of a more sophisticated way we can interface with some of these cultural phenomenon is, like, think to ourselves, what does this say about us? What, as a community, as a society, what does this say about us collectively? Not just women, but like collectively about, like, the types of lives that we are idealizing, right? So, like, you know, the T-app, it's paradoxically evidence that if you are the man that women are talking about, you have a higher likelihood to get more women.
Hold on.
Like the T-app.
We ain't gonna skip over that. Did y'all hear what the man just said?
Hey,
if you're the man that all these women are talking about in the T-app, what? You're
more likely to get more women.
Women wanting that other women want. But
if you got it is better to have,
and want him to just be with them.
it's better to have 5 bad reviews on a T app than 1 good review. Ironically and unfortunately, but that's the reality. Because again, like what we are, what we're missing is like, what the question it begs is, what about him made him so compelling or interesting that so many it's the same reason why you'll see a dude with 5 baby mamas and then baby mama number 6 happens. She knew about the other 5, but there's something about him that is compelling, interesting, or entertaining that keeps women willing to sacrifice brain cells to justify being with him. Right. And this is a reality that predates the T app. It predates even, I saw a meme about Love Island. It said this is a show about men dating multiple women watched by women who hate men who date multiple women.
I heard that. Yeah, it's fact. It's fact.
You see what I'm saying?
They are entertained by the very things that they complain about and hate in real life.
Yep.
Like every component, the what was it? The pop the balloon. They absolutely can't stand a lot of what they're talking about happening in the dating market, but they watch it. They go on it and do it. And I'm like, yo, like it's
the Pop the Balloon is actually the most interesting to me. I actually like watching Pop the Balloon, especially the Arlette version. I think it's interesting because it's I think a lot of the things that men in particular complain about that often is dismissed about what it's like interfacing with women in the dating pool. Like you'll hear some guys say like, I'm not 6 foot, so I have a hard time dating. And women, their friends even would be like, it ain't that deep. And then you watch it happen in real time where a woman who is 5'4" rejects a guy who's 6 foot because he's too short.
Yep.
Like, let's have an honest conversation. Maybe he's not crazy for saying this is what he's experienced.
I think it's cyclical, like you said. I think that there was probably a much smaller percentage of women that were functionally moving around and acting like that in the past. And overwhelmingly, a lot of those women were gay or had pretty privilege. Because if they were gay, they may have not had any intentions of ever caring about what men thought or needed or wanted.
Yeah. So we just raise the bar where nobody can jump. Yep.
Right. Or in terms of how they talk to men when they would approach them. Right. So if she's gay or she doesn't even see any value in men relationally, what's the need to being nice to men? F men. I can see some ladies doing that. Not all lesbians, y'all, but like some ladies who, because their sexuality is closed men off, the need for understanding men's perspectives or needs or even talking to them in a normal human respectful manner, some ladies feel like they don't need to, like that men isn't even a priority on their top 10 list, right? And then there's ladies who get away with acting that way strictly because of pretty privilege.
Yep.
That percentage of women was always small. Now you have ladies who can't see their own feet talking about how in shape he need to be on these shows, on these live shows with the people sitting on the stage and the pop the balloon. I think what it's revealed, as much as people want to talk about hypergamy, how unrealistic some of these women are, or whether or not this is just to get fame or notoriety or whatever, I think there's one thing, and you kind of alluded to it earlier. It shows how susceptible women are to taking a talking point, instruction, or lens and instructional how to now look at men, how to now judge men. They're not deciding for themselves with all these talking points, the sprinkle, the this, the that. Don't take her to Cheesecake Factory or don't eat at Olive Garden or whatever. Like, they're taking so much from outside of themselves.
Yep.
And the worst part is you're watching women that's older, well past what their demands are asking for. They're on camera on the internet, and the irony is they still don't see it.
They still don't see it. And I think you bring up a brilliant point.
It's
I
that
think you
powerful.
bring up a brilliant point that there is, and I would even go as far as saying it's underrepresented or underreported. There is a faction of women who do not like men. Just they don't and they can't.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think men don't even have the vocabulary or the permission to even identify these women. So
Mhm.
we end up simply
Mhm.
internalizing it as I'm not good enough, when the reality is you can never have been good enough. And then how does that color your next interaction with a woman?
Mm.
Right. So
They
I think
all like this. Yeah.
there is a group of brothers, and my heart goes out to them because I could have very easily gone down that path,
Oh,
who
yeah.
were gaslighted into becoming nihilistic about this gender stuff. Because first
Mm.
of all, none of your complaints were real, right? Your
Mhm.
mama black. Who hurt you? Oh, can we
Mhm.
have a conversation about
Oh,
my
you
mom?
sassy. You gay.
You know what I'm
You know,
saying?
yeah,
Can
yeah.
we actually have a conversation about that? But no, I don't. You don't want to have a conversation about that. You simply want to dismiss me. And what
Mhm.
happens? There's this quote from it's an African quote. I think they also said it in Black Panther. Um, when a child doesn't feel loved by the village, he'll burn it down to feel its heat.
Burn down the whole village to fill its heat. Yep.
So as much as I'm critical of certain aspects of the manosphere, these are the monsters we made as well.
Damn. Damn. See, this is why I like this brother on this show, y'all. So hold on. Just letting y'all know, if you haven't liked this video, please make sure you do. I've been thoroughly enjoyed this. This brother has already put some thoughts in my mind that I want to marinate on as I get ready for my new content schedule for this year. Just a final question, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, two actually. Um, in the modern dating scene, what do you think is actually fair today for women to expect from men and from men to expect from women in 2026?
You brought up something interesting before about like what have you spent the most time doing? Um, I think the most appropriate thing to expect is what you're optimized for.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of women who want a traditional man, but they're not a traditional woman. You're not optimized to be a wife to that type of husband.
Yeah.
There are a lot of men who want a docile, submissive woman, but you are not a take charge, domineering man. You're not optimized for that type of woman. I mean, similarly in the job market, you could want to work for Apple all you want, but if your resume points towards like McDonald's, you're not gonna get the Apple job, no matter how bad you want it. You have to. There's
Mm-hmm.
some skills that are missing that are necessary to fulfill that job. There are some competencies. There's a disposition that better fits with Apple's corporate culture that you're lacking, right? So if you're serious about that, you have to work backwards. What does Apple need in its organization, and what is the path for me to become that person? So
Mm-hmm.
similarly, for the women who want six-figure men who are running multinational corporations, what
Mm-hmm.
kind of woman is a good complement to that type of man? Are you that woman? Yes. Okay. Then why haven't you gotten that outcome? No. Okay. How can you better optimize yourself for that? Or maybe you discover you actually don't want that. You just like how it sounds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think there are a lot of people, we don't actually want what we think we want. We just like how it sounds or like how it looks.
Bro.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like part of that process is be honest with yourself about who you are and what it is that you want. And if you want it bad enough, align yourself with the path that leads to that thing, whether it's a job or whether it's a person or a relationship, and let the chips fall where they may.
What we're not going to do is act like you didn't just cook just now with what you just said. When you said, for the lady side, it's starting to become more honest and pragmatic with ourselves about the type of woman I'm choosing, I want to show up as. What is the compatible equivalent of that as a man,
Yep.
versus just stating, I want a man that does X and it doesn't matter how I show up as a woman. I was
Bingo.
like, you said that bar where you said she's not optimized to integrate seamlessly. into the life of a traditional man as a non-traditional woman. You're not designed long term to do well with men when you don't understand what will work well with the man you want.
Mm.
I'm
And
like,
in their defense, I used to believe the myth that a lot of women believe that when I meet the right man, I will naturally become the right woman. I'm every woman.
yeah.
It's all in me already.
Mhm.
The reality is a lot of what we're talking about when it comes to establishing, maintaining a household, even like the actual skills of like homemaking or interior design, these are competencies. This is
Mhm.
not a spiritual these are competencies. Do you have the skill set? Do you know how to balance a checkbook? Do you know how to organize his corporation in a way that protects him from lawsuits? These are
Mhm.
competencies. And no matter how good of a woman you believe yourself to be, no matter
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
pure your heart, you believe your heart, if you do not have these competencies, it won't work. So if
Mhm.
we can be more honest about these things instead of like regurgitating these myths about it's just because she hasn't met the right man yet, or she hasn't been put in her femininity yet, or she hasn't been allowed to rest and whatever,
Mhm.
we won't ever actually take the necessary actions to either distinguish between what we actually want and what just sounds good to us, or
Mhm.
move ourselves in the direction to gain the core competencies necessary to maintain, sustain what we claim we want.
Brother, well, what I told you earlier that I haven't announced yet to the audience, I'm gonna be bothering you soon because I think I'm gonna need your thoughts on this
I
this
got
this
you, brother.
little bit of your project, man. Listen, bro,
I got
this was such a dope ass conversation
you for sure, man. I
because
appreciate it.
I appreciate these. To me, these feel like audits. We're talking about, social media, we're talking about content creating, but even when you point out things that you're seeing that's problematic in men or women out there, I'm
Yeah.
listening for a self-evaluating approach of like, am I starting to lean that way? Do I
Mhm.
kind of be making those type of arguments too? So even just critiquing the work that it is that we're doing, I think that this is a very dope way for us to like sharpen ourselves without even direct
100%.
feedback. And I appreciate, man, guys like you in this space and having done it even before me so that I can kind of cheat and just jump straight to just jump straight in
For
and kind
sure.
of learn from some of y'all mistakes. And
Mhm.
I think that this type of conversation, when we normalize it, when we do stuff in person,
Yeah.
um, we could complain about it all day, or we could just be in it and try to be a different alternative.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna get the bad label, you're gonna get lumped in with the worst bad faith actors and characters, but
Yeah.
I actually do think, man, that there's literally a market of people who not only are rocking with you, but there are people who are waking up every day.
Yeah.
Even now, even there's still men and women who are waking up, and sometimes it's just because they didn't comment. It's because they didn't send an email
Right.
or DM.
Right. That's true.
You just see the 80, 90,000 on this thing and 50, 80,000 on that. Like a lot of times I think we forget, like, it will rock me. I saw a video today on YouTube that had just gotten posted by my team, and it had 700 views. And I've been doing this for a year, and some of the views will go to 5,000, 10,000. Charleston White, one of my interviews that went like 55. In my one of my shorts, I think it cleared like a quarter mil or something like that. And I saw the video that had been up for like an hour and it had 700 views. And I was like, yo, 700 people. 700 people who I do not know by and large are interested in what it is that I gotta say.
Yeah.
And that
That's a great
rocked me for
perspective.
that rocked me for a second because people we get how it is. You get desensitized to
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
every day. And I'm like, yo, 700 people in like an hour watch this. And I can easily move the way that we talked about some of the dudes move in this space.
Yeah.
And just realizing like that 600-700 that I saw in that moment was like that rocked me more than the last 6 months of crazy numbers that I've seen.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Am I weird for that? I don't know. I don't know.
No, I mean, listen, that just ministered to me because I remember, like, even though I'm aware of like the hedonic treadmill, I still fall
Mhm,
victim to it. Right.
mhm,
Like
mhm,
I remember when I was struggling to get 1,000 views, and now 100,000 isn't enough, and you constantly have to like reestablish perspective on like what does that mean? Like what does 100,000? What does what does 100 mean? Like 100 different unique people and the networks that they touch. That maybe something you said resonated so much that is now imparted to people who haven't even like been born yet. Like so that's something that just inspired me just now as well.
Nah, it's just that
It's real.
level. Yeah, man, that level
Real.
of a second to give yourself a chance to still cling to some hope of humility.
Exactly.
Because when you don't have those moments, those small moments that's not that big to anybody else, when you stop having those, now you're just chasing the algorithm. Now you're just chasing the next viral moment. And you're primed to lose yourself. And like you said, bro, I sense and feel that a lot right now. I'm only a year in. I'm like, how y'all was doing this for 5,
I mean, you a year in, but you went hard, man. You went hard for this year,
bro. And seeing so many different personalities. I don't know how many times I've been sent racial stuff, racist stuff. People calling me all kind of insane things. And the thing that stood out to most, one of my things that I also noticed was I think I have a very strong personality and have an ability to kind of stand on what I believe in and not be swayed too much. But noticing how negative comments sticks out way more than the hundreds of positive ones around it. We talk about that. We say, oh, just focus on that. But there's a human element to you that I realize a lot of guys, because I'm not big on, I'm not in that college, high school mode where I want to keep going back and forth with people all the time and like owning people. But I realize now that like I can read 30, 50 comments, see the 2 that were negative, and those are the ones I remember.
Right.
And trying to decide, should I try to do something about that mentally, or should I leave those there to always remind me that there's people that disagree and why they disagree? So the last month, I haven't been deleting any negative comments whatsoever. Usually it's like, some threat or calling me like a coon or something. I probably might delete it or whatever, but I've intentionally left them there. And I'm trying to lean in on the latter, which is not to be overly consumed with them, but with negative comments, but more so to be reminded that there's a reason for why they disagree with me.
Right.
And they're allowed to.
And that your work is necessary. Like it's resonating. And unfortunately, sometimes the negative reactions is the only proof we have.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying?
It seemed like it. Listen, brother. Why don't you tell everybody? Because shout out to you, man, because you're killing it. You're growing the brand. I already know you're gonna blow up a whole new level in 2026. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and support you and your brand?
Absolutely. Again, I want to thank you for having me on. This was a fantastic conversation. It's as many conversations as I've had on the YouTube streets, man, I could count on like 2 hands, like the good ones, where there's like genuine back and forth, a tennis match of, intellectual curiosity. So I want to appreciate you for that. And I want to encourage you to, keep going, right? Like what your voice is needed, your expertise is needed, your perspective is needed. To find me, basically on the screen, WNT Talk, on YouTube, WNT Talk, on Instagram, WNT Talk. Recently, I've been leaning into Facebook. It's also WNT Talk. I think our Facebook just crossed 60.
Nice.
So yeah, go check us out on there. There are clips on there. But also check out, there's a comment that stood out to me from a while back. Somebody said part of the reason the channel started stagnating is because I put things behind a paywall.
Oh, that was at the beginning.
That's not accurate. There are over 700 very free videos on my YouTube. Everything that was on Patreon is now free on YouTube. So like even the paid stuff is now free. I'll be creating stuff specifically for Patreon. But for right now, everything is free. It's been free for a long time. There are a bunch of different series that I've broken up into playlists. You'll see Listen to Black Man, case studies. You'll see the Kevin Samuel series. Check it out. Comment, interact with it. Check out clips on Instagram. Support brothers who are actually trying to have intellectual, nuanced conversations about these things. Because ultimately, like, this is just a small blip in a bigger, larger conversation about the human condition, particularly the Black human condition. So the more we lean into that, the better we can craft a future that's equitable for our descendants. So again, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you guys for your attention and for your support.
Appreciate you, bro. And you're more than welcome whenever you want to pull up. But something tells me your big projects, we're going to be having some conversations anyway.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
All right, y'all. So please listen, make sure y'all support this brother. Make sure y'all follow him on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube as well. Subscribe and definitely watch his content, because I would not have brought him on if I didn't want to speak highly to it and the quality products that he produces for sure. So, brother, have a good night. Let me wrap things up here.
Appreciate it, man.
Yo, man, that was dope, man, to see. I need these moments, man. I need these moments when you know, people who think differently than me, people who I think maybe even smarter than me in certain ways or in certain areas of interest and focus. It's just nice. And again, not every conversation I have needs to be on this level. Some could be very entertaining. Some could be just very thought provoking. Listen, man, y'all see this video? Why don't y'all send it to send the screenshot and send it to the brother? He's a very, very difficult, in demand brother. And I did see Miss Sade as well. Listen, y'all. Again, I'm one person. We got a very small team. It's always more helpful for y'all to kind of get in these people's chats and their emails and let them know, especially the people, some of these people that y'all mentioned, and that I'm absolutely okay and open to coming on their platform, but also welcoming them into this space, because this is a really good community of people that's genuinely interested in listening, hearing different nuanced perspectives, not just wanting to lean all the way in on women bad, men bad. It gets annoying, believe it or not. And I think this is the next iteration of what maybe the manosphere is morphing and turning into. And I even think that there's going to be a greater understanding over the next 3 to 5 years from women about why this space is necessary, so that men can become better men and reward better women. So yeah, man, I think this was dope. So I just don't want to miss any of the super chats, because I did see a few people give as well. We did talk about Jason for sure. Thank Naj267 as well for the $10 in support. The Geek Surgeon, $5. A lot of passport bros don't have game, unfortunately. This is facts. And that's the other piece that I don't think people think about, which is that if game doesn't work here, then it's not game that you have that's working over there. It's poverty, conditions, and scarcity gap between you and the women over there a lot of times. So that so it's definitely important to kind of work on learning how to have better game, charisma. Definitely something I'm going to be bringing on, adding to the show pretty soon, because I'm going to be bringing on a male fashion expert and designer, fashion image consultant rather, to kind of give us some feedback, advice, give us pictures in terms of how to dress and not dress in terms of different settings. I'm going to be scheduling that pretty soon and reaching out to that brother to confirm our date and time for that. Shout out to TY2724. Appreciate you for the $10. Yeah, we did from the time when you sent this till now, we actually cleared just over 30 minutes. So I appreciate you for the love. Classic Codes, have to have a conversation with you sometime soon. I have some nuances I'd like to discuss with you. Yeah, thank you for the $5. Just email me on Ask a Brother podcast at outlook.com. Everybody, please don't email me and spam me unless you're actually planning on coming on. And specifically, if I've asked you to, or if you're someone who has a channel or a unique story or perspective, then I'm more than willing to kind of read and see if it would be a good fit for the channel and the show. The Finzo one, thank you for the $9.99. I disagree. I think Pearl is a great contributor to the Manosphere Red Pill and Black Pill space, in my humble opinion. Also, I have a question. What is it that you disagree dealing with Myron and Fresh and Fit? Go Bird. Yo, go Birds. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to ask him more specifics outside of, I guess, maybe Allan's perspective is rooted in not liking the market of the cycle of women come on, they get berated, their channel blows up, they get a huge following, and the cycle continues. Where if we're constantly platforming the worst women, and then they're getting platformed higher as a result, that was an interesting thing that, I don't know that there's a way out of that. How can you address in real time negative behavior that you see in women without showing it? Because all we're doing is talking about it. So the other lens is like, how do you not address it without at least showing what it can look like in the streets at the Fresh and Fit podcast table? There's a space for women to be allowed to be themselves and show who they really are, what they really desire, and what they actually prioritize at different stages of their developmental life. And that's very hard to do when you only pick women that you think will give all the right answers. So I think that there is a space for that, but I do understand his concern that it does lead towards them getting a big following and all these men pandering and simping and supporting maybe a lifestyle that's ending up destroying us from a civilizational standpoint. So I understand that for sure. And I'm going to see Pearl on Saturday at the event in AC. For sure. Unity is strength. AAB. I need to see you discuss it. Yeah, I did mention before I would love to meet with Miss Sade. I think I've commented a couple times in her comment section. So listen, man, feel free to screenshot it or send it to her, tag her, comment, and let her know that I like her content. I think she's pretty dope, and I would like to meet her for sure. Triple XX 9407. Thank you for the $2. Interview Jason Black. Would love to be open to that with him. Again, believe it or not, a lot of times y'all making recommendations. I don't have direct contact with these people. I'm just like y'all with a camera. So, I don't have an agent. I don't have when I say team, I don't mean like an agent or a booking agent or something like that. So that's not really what I have. A lot of times people just reach out or I reach out, and before you know it, it just kind of happens. And then last but not least, unity is strength. One, thank you for the $10 as well. In Africa, patriarchy is maintained by culture and poverty. In the Islamic world, the men are the most intolerant religiously, so the women submit to their frame. The rest of the world, patriarchy is done. I think it's unfortunate if we can't imagine a world or come up with a society where male leadership is welcome again, and it doesn't require religious dogma and poverty for women to see the value in men's leadership again. Because everybody's not going to believe the same thing religiously. And this idea that these are the ways in which it's pretty much being held intact is actually not a flex. So I think about that now. Like if we were to, women are saying, where's the masculine men and where's the real men and everything? If these men were to return, how do we get a widespread movement of recognizing the value in men and good men's male leadership that isn't dependent on the economy sucking, women being at risk of poverty, and a religious dogma has to dominate a region in order for them all to be compliant? And if those three things aren't present, can and will women in mass see male leadership be significant and even essential anymore? That's something I think about a lot. So this was a really dope, interesting comment, actually, because I don't know, it's just something I've been thinking about for a minute. So listen, y'all, I hope that y'all enjoyed this. It was a very thorough, 2 hours went by like pretty quick, man. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. So again, go Birds. Eagles will have to be playing, and it hasn't been the greatest season, and the offensive coordinator has been struggling, but in Jalen and Hurts we trust. Sirianni, all the skill position guys, Saquon and AJ and Smitty. Funny enough, the same guy that Smitty went to get some of his tuxes and outfits custom, fixed for, I actually went to that guy to get the same guy to actually do my wedding, to get my tux jacket in for my wedding. So Smitty, we don't know each other, but feel free you're more than welcome to come through to the show. So listen, y'all, I hope that y'all enjoyed this. I think that this was he and me, we definitely have some very interesting thoughts and plans for 2022. 6 because a lot of things we talked about tonight. We're definitely thinking about our impact, our approach, constantly wanting to adjust and change, and constantly looking at our hearts and our motives for why we're doing this and what we're doing it for. And we're not perfect. We make mistakes too, but it's nice to know that there's other people that genuinely care about this more than just being seen. It's about like a whole host of things, a whole host of motives that we're trying to do without saying out loud, so that those who may be against those plans will try to figure out in what ways they can kind of shut it down or stop it for sure. So listen, y'all. This is hilarious. Listen, man. I'm gonna say this, y'all. Y'all did say last year that y'all want your boy to go full time, and we're definitely getting a lot closer to being able to make something like that happen. But there's definitely a few things that I'll have to announce to see if that's truly realistically something I could do, because I've really enjoyed this, and my output right now is anywhere between 2 to 3 interviews. And one of our big plans is that we actually in February want to start with morning shows, morning lives. Where we cover news and news commentary related stuff. And then in the evenings we do interviews and also original content as well. And we want to do that at least 4 days out the week, which means up to 8 videos instead of 3 a week. And then if I can do that and y'all actually engage in it, show love, donate, become members, that moves us way, way closer to being able to do that type of output from a long sustainable model and approach. So the more of you that become members, the sooner it is that we're going to be able to legitimately be able to move to maybe doing something like this full time a lot sooner than you might think. And again, there's going to be some additional things that I think may help ease that along as well. So listen, y'all, thank y'all for your time. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for supporting this thing, man, because I really think that what's coming with this channel and this movement of freedom of thought, freedom of intellectual curiosity, and collaborating with people who agree with that, is that I think we're learning. I think we're adapting. I think we're becoming more mature, thoughtful, intentional versions of ourselves. And I really, really hope that this was just a really enjoyable, interesting convo. So again, man, make sure that y'all check out his channel. The link is in the description. This Plum has posted it several times. And yeah, man, Marquette, absolutely brilliant dude. Very, very smart, very confrontational. And he's one of the few people, and I'm going to say this publicly, he's one of the few people that I've listened to enough and watched enough in terms of debates and commentary that there's very, very, very few things I can find that I can argue against him. And that's unusual for me. I'm used to people just being radically different than me. I'm not used to somebody who has found ways to get to conclusions I've arrived to from multiple different angles of argumentation while in a debate. And having enough nuance from multiple angles to understand the other person's argument, understand why it's messed up, be able to critique it, stay on task, have multiple reference points for why he's a legit dude in the sense that I've observed him enough to know that he knows something, So he's definitely a smart dude, and like I said, I would be open to having a pretty interesting conversation with him. I wouldn't be shocked if that would go as far as 2, 3, even 4 hours, because I think that he thinks a lot, and I think his way of processing his thoughts is when the camera's on. I think he processes apart from that too. But I think that he's constantly working through his learning process in real time while he's engaging with you all as an audience. So yeah, I think he's definitely very interesting, and he's probably one of the better men I've seen that's been able to articulate well arguments against, or at least encounter to, some of the worst aspects of feminism. And then the amazing Lucas, who obviously feels how he feels about Republicans and conservatives and black people that ain't voting Democrat or whatever. Funny enough, I think I commented on one of his videos or 2 of his videos recently and telling him he's more than welcome to come through, and I would like to hear his critique and thoughts of MAGA and the right and black people who don't, think or vote like him. What is if I wonder if he has a nuanced view of that, or if he sees them all as raccoons, so to speak. So yeah, man, if y'all can reach out to him or comment and let him know that he's more than welcome. He's actually somebody who's on the left who, again, somewhat similar to Marquette, where he's not an idiot. He's very intentional, and he's actually extremely methodical, even when people think he's being very impulsive. I saw his most recent actions on Pierce Morgan. I don't know if he's going to be able to be welcomed back on there, but I understood his methodology and what it was that he was trying to point out to about the hypocrisy of how people celebrate death on the right, and make fun of people like George Floyd and many others with the George Floyd challenge. And then when someone like Charlie Kirk dies, it's too soon and that's inappropriate and whatnot. And he was trying to highlight on that hypocrisy that people tend to forget during moments of grief. So yeah, man, he's more than welcome, as is others as well. So thank y'all again. This was very fun, very thought provoking, and I'm very interested to see by the end of this year what this channel turns into. But like I told y'all, there's definitely going to be some major announcements before the end of this month, multiple, in fact, at least 3. And when it happens, I'm gonna be very interested to see, how you all are going to feel about each of those unique individual announcements for sure. So like I said, I'm going to see y'all next week. Please make sure y'all share the content. Feel free to subscribe if you have not subscribed. Definitely become a member. But again, when I make this announcement, I'm going to be basically mentioning a different membership tier and the special perks and things that comes with that. And don't be shocked if you all going to be seeing a lot more of me in a lot of other places, and that there may be a particular product that I may be having with me in the near future, when I start making this secondary run that's very different from year one. So stay tuned for these updates, and I'm excited. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I hope that y'all liked it. This is what I enjoy. This is what I genuinely enjoy. It's not just about being a flex. It's the type of things I actually want to start to see and experience and be a part of. And my hope is that more and more content creators just become diverse. And everybody needs to be like me. It's about can we have diversity and not just be kind of typecasted into one perspective or one frame of reference of how people see us as people, as commentators, as content creators. I don't want to be just the guy that argues about women or argues with women. I don't want to be the guy that just tells men what they want to hear, right? I want to, or only can talk about relationships. I want us to be able to be curious about the world around us and what's impacting our lives, and why we believe what we believe and how we come to those conclusions. And I think guys like Allan from We Need to Talk, these are people who I think are important in this space because they push me to constantly get better at my craft. To think and see things from a new lens. That brother said something so deep that I typed it in. I typed it up. I don't actually want to forget word for word, in essence, what he said. And this was dope. This was enjoyable. So listen, y'all, it's getting late. I'm tired. Your boy got to get another meal in him and get ready for another busy day tomorrow. But I'm gonna tell y'all this. Y'all always say all the time that y'all want me to go full time. And a whole lot of y'all, as much as y'all say it, y'all don't become members. And it's very difficult because now you're in that weird place where you're doing condo well, but not enough to really exist off of yet. And you know what the channel is capable of being. And that missing link is just having enough people who at least are doing the memberships to be able to justify that type of leap of faith. But I got a strange feeling that once I make a couple more announcements, a lot of y'all that's kind of holding out with the likes, with the super chats, and with becoming members, I won't be shocked when the news comes and I make a couple major announcements that a lot more people may be wanting to show love and show support in their own different ways. So stay tuned for all of that. But listen, y'all, enjoy your evening, love on somebody, and remember, it's okay to acknowledge that we need men. It's okay to acknowledge that we need women. And it's okay to acknowledge that we need to learn more about how to do life with each other. I'm not saying everything's equal. What I am saying is that at the end of the day, if we can't see each other's pain, we can't be a part of each other's healing. And if we can't acknowledge each other's perspectives, then what are we as a species? So, like I said, we got some plans, some big goals of how we're going to be targeting some of the things we've been talking about and complaining about for years. And we'll see what these young millennial guys and commentators that's in this space that's trying to approach this from a more responsible angle. Let's see if y'all really enjoy it, if y'all really support it, and let's see if y'all are going to be willing to take some major leaps that we all are going to be trying to take this year. So listen, y'all, have a good night. Enjoy your evening. Like I said, stay tuned and be on the lookout for when I post some stuff. And last but not least, Daily Rap Crew. My episode with them, the full episode and the clips, I believe stuff starts to come out tomorrow on Daily Rap Crew's channel on YouTube. So stay tuned. Make sure y'all check for that. Set the notification bell and make sure y'all like this video. Send it to 2 or 3 people. Definitely send it to people who are just interested in just listening, learning, reflecting, and send it to people who feel the most damn passionately about men or about women, in not the best way. So that they can understand that there's people like us that exist in the real world. And it's really not about hating women, man. It's about letting them know the things that they're doing that men generally don't like, are unattracted to, are turned off by, and potentially could be hurting and harming them short and long term, and vice versa with the men as well. So listen, y'all, have a good night. I'm gonna talk to y'all soon. Go Birds. And last but not least, we got to show one more.
What's the trap?
All right, y'all. So have a good night, man. Go Birds. Talk to y'all on the other side. And listen, man, love on the people that love on you. All right, y'all. Take care. Have a good night. Casa now. Peace.